Hey everyone! In this presentation, we will talk about the sanitation and safety in the manufacture of confectionery products. At first, we will talk about the GMP and SPS for confectionery manufacturing, in which GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Practices and SPS stands for Sanitary and Phytosanitary Standards. Number 1. Describe the record-keeping requirements of GMP. 2. Related to personal, if an employee seems to have sores that might contaminate food. 3. Related to plants and ground, garbage and waste near plant buildings or structures to be removed. 4. Hygienic operation, storage of toxic substances in compliance with GMP requirements. 5. What are food contact surfaces? Are they non-toxic materials, can withstand the environment they are used in, and how the food reacts to it, and how they react when cleaning agents and disinfectants are used. 6. Is it necessary to use chemical, microbiological, or foreign substance testing procedures to detect hygiene issues or possible food contamination? Secondly, we'll talk about the hazard analysis critical control point HACCP. The main confectionery products are lollipops, dessert bars, candies, chocolates, specialty products, and chewing gum. Compliance with GMP, SPS, and SSOP is mandatory in this country. However, most confectionery manufacturers, especially large confectionery manufacturers, also apply HACCP principles in their operations, although this practice is not required. And then we'll talk about suppliers, labeling, and packaging. Number 1, you must write a policy for your supplier, including specifications, documents, and certificates. 2. Do you have to develop policies for allergens related to pollution, label claims, and regulatory compliance? 3. You must write policies about packaging materials, such as ink source, potential product contact, or multiple layers. 4. You must write a policy on the integrity and safety of packaging materials. 5. You must write policies about hazards, biological, chemical, and physical, and products. Now we will talk about process hazard analysis. In the product process, there are many potential sources of hazards: biological, chemical, and physical. Has your company determined that the following materials and activities meet regulatory requirements and business recommendations to avoid hazard risks? There are requirements for certain materials, such as 1. Cleanliness, 2. Plant layout, 3. Food contact surface, 4. Equipment and utensils, 5. Cleaning chemicals, 6. Water requirements, 7. Storage of toxic materials, 8. Food grade materials, which are lubricants, processing aids, etc. Also, there are some potential sources of contamination, such as: Number 1. The entry point of the selected location of the flow chart. 2. Raw materials. 3. Rework. 4. Storage of raw materials and finished products. 5. Loading and unloading. 6. Transportation. Also, there are common critical control points, such as: Number 1. Aflatoxin and peanuts. 2. Temperature. 3. Time. 4. Stress. 5. Growth of microorganisms related to water activity. 6. Pest control. Operation and preventive measures. Like other food and beverage industries, confectionery manufacturers must provide consumers with products that are food safe, hygienic, and financially honest. This section provides some suggestions on how to achieve security goals. Now we will talk about the storage criteria and personnel. Firstly, the storage rooms and transport carriers. The following must be taken into consideration according to trade recommendations. Number 1. Temperature and humidity. 2. Cleaning storage facility, rooms, cabinets, shelves, crates, and pallets. 3. Cleaning transport vehicles, trucks, trains, and vessels. 4. Plant facility, concerned with washing, cleaning, and sanitizing. 5. Cleaning agents and tools location.
Number 2, from storage criteria and personal, accessibility, odors, and handling. Number 1, accessibility, food, rooms, shelves, books, cabinets, and equipment parts. Number 2, sample inventory. Number 3, appropriate distance between the wall and the operation of items, such as shelves, crates, pallets. Number 4, stack them correctly in accordance with the label and the company policy, such as placing each one on the bottom. Number 5, proper ventilation to avoid odor, dust, and other contaminants. Number 6, cleaning, inspection, and inventory should be done in a regular basis. Number 7, standard maintenance of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning devices. Keep away condensation, replace filter, and dehumidify frequently. Number 8, written procedures for handling products, bags, and containers, such as eliminating inappropriate ones if it's broken or dirty receipt. Number 3, from storage criteria and personal. Personal, according to GMP requirements, workers must receive proper training in cleaning, clothing, hair, hands, beard, eating, and toilet facilities. Pest management. Number 1, good internal cleanliness of the building. Number 2, acceptable environmental protection outside the building. Number 3, install screen door. Number 4, close all possible entry points for rodents, bear, insects. Number 5, aware from beetles. Number 6, other practices like bees, garbage. Requirements and recommendations. Number 1, comply with FDA, GMP, particularly personal and pest management. Number 2, proper protection system is constructed between the exterior and interior of buildings. Entrance, windows, screen door, beds, garbage, and containers. Number 3, suitable storage facilities, shelves, cabinets, windows, ventilations, and lighting. Number 4, lighting adjust according to the requirements of state agencies such as Department of Food Safety and federal agencies such as United States Department of Agriculture, FDA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the Food Code. Number 5, ventilation in line with state and industrial building codes. Number 6, cleaning and sanitation. Use appropriate sanitation and disinfection arrangement, instruments, approved chemical reagents, schedule, and methods. All areas should be cleaned to prevent insects from entering, especially the place where the candy is stored. FDA standards of identities. The FDA has issued identification standards for various cocoa products. 21 CFR 163 and the vanilla flavor 21 CFR 169. Cacao nuts. The identification criteria for cocoa nuts are described in 21 CFR 163.110. Cocoa nuts are foods made by removing the outer shell from food, cleaned, dried, and broken cocoa beans. The cacao shell content isn't exactly 1.75% per weight. Cacao nuts, or the cacao beans from which they are made, can also be processed by heating with one or more of various alkali components. Cacao nibs, or the cacao beans from which they are made, may be processed with one or more of optional neutralizing agents. Optional ingredients. Number 1, alkali components. Add resin, ammonium or baking soda, carbonate or hydroxide, or magnesium carbonate or oxide. as such or in solution. For every 100 parts per weight of cacao nibs used or before changing from the cacao bean, the whole quantity of alkali component used is included in neutralizing value. That's calculated from the relating combined weight of the alkali components used, then the neutralizing value of 3 parts per weight of anhydrous potassium carbonate. Number 2. Neutralizing agents as citric acid, phosphoric acid, and L-tartaric acid as such or in aqueous solution. For every 100 parts by weight of cacao nibs used or before changing from the cacao beans, the overall quantity of phosphoric acid used isn't higher than 0.5 parts per weight. Expressed as P205, the whole amount simply or in combination of citric acid and L-tartaric acid isn't higher than 1 part per weight. Nomenclature. The names are cacao nibs, cocoa nibs, or cracked cocoa. When the cacao nibs or cacao beans from which they are made are processed with alkali components, the name on the food must be followed by the statement processed with alkali or processed with. The blank field with the common or usual name of the certain alkali component utilized in the food. When cacao nibs or cacao beans from which they are prepared are processed with neutralizing agents, the name of the food should be followed by the statement processed with neutralizing agents or processed with. The blank field with the common or usual name of the certain neutralizing agent utilized in the food. The name of food appears must be easy to see under usual condition of purchase. The prescribed statements should be followed by the name without intervening printed or graphic notes. Label declaration. Each ingredient utilized in the food must be written on the label as recommended by FDA regulations.
Now we will talk about the chocolate liquor. The standard of identity for chocolate liquor is described in 21 CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations in numbers 163.111. The description: chocolate liquor is the solid or semi-plastic food prepared by finely grinded cocoa nibs. The fat content of the food may be adjusted by adding one or more of the optional ingredients specified in the following. Chocolate liquor contains not less than 50% nor more than 60% by weight of cocoa fat, as determined by the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration method. Chocolate liquor may be spiced, flavored, or seasoned with one or more of the following ingredients listed. Optional ingredients. The following safe and suitable ingredients may be used. Number 1. Cocoa fat and cocoa, breakfast cocoa, cocoa or low-fat cocoa. 2. Alkali ingredients. Ammonium, potassium or sodium bicarbonate, carbonate or hydroxide, or magnesium carbonate or oxide added as such or in aqueous solution. 3. Neutralizing agents as phosphoric acid, citric acid, and L-tartaric acid added as such or in aqueous solution. Number 4. Spices, natural and artificial flavorings, ground whole nut meats, ground coffee, dried malted cereal extract, and other seasonings that do not either singly or in combination impart a flavor that imitates the flavor of chocolate, milk, or butter. 5. Butter or fat or milk fat. 6. Salt. Nomenclature. The name of the food is chocolate liquor, chocolate, unsweetened chocolate, bitter chocolate, baking chocolate, or cooking chocolate. Also, there is chocolate coating or unsweetened chocolate coating. However, please note the following. Number 1. When any optional ingredient specified is used, should be mentioned and written. 2. Under customary conditions of purchase, the statements prescribed in this section showing optional ingredients used should precede or follow the name without intervening printed or graphic matter. Label declaration. Each of the ingredients used in the food should be declared on the label as required by FDA regulations, such as vanilla flavorings. Number 1. Vanilla extract. The standard of identity for vanilla extract is described in 21 CFR in numbers 169.175. In vanilla extract, the content of ethyl alcohol is not less than 35% by volume, and the content of vanilla constituent is not less than 1 unit per gallon. The vanilla constituent may be extracted directly from vanilla beans, or it may be added in the form of concentrated vanilla extract or concentrated vanilla flavoring, or vanilla flavoring concentrated to the semi-solid form called vanilla oleoresin. Vanilla extract may contain one or more of the following optional ingredients. Number 1, glycerine. 2, propylene glycol. 3, sugar, including inverted sugar. 4, dextrose. 5, corn syrup, including dried corn syrup. Vanilla flavoring conforms to the definition and standard of identity and is subject to any requirement for label statement of ingredients prescribed for vanilla extract, except that its content of ethyl alcohol is less than 35% by volume. The specified name of the food is vanilla flavoring. Number 2, vanilla powder. The standard of identity for vanilla extract is described in 21 CFR in numbers 169.175. Vanilla powder is a mixture of ground vanilla beans or vanilla oleoresin or both. More of the following optional blending ingredients are: number 1, sugar. 2, dextrose. 3, lactose. 4, food starch. 5, dried corn syrup. And 6, gum acacia. Vanilla powder may contain one or any mixture of 2 or more of the anti-caking ingredients specified in the following, but the total weight of any such ingredient or mixture is not more than 2% of the weight of the finished vanilla powder. Vanilla powder contains in each 8 pounds not less than 1 unit of vanilla constituent. The optional anti-caking agents are as follows. Number 1, aluminium calcium silicate. Number 2, calcium silicate. 3, calcium stearate. 4, magnesium silicate. If sugar is used, the word sugar may replace the word powder. The blank in the name is filled in with the whole number, disregarding fractions, expressing the number of units of vanilla constituent per 8 pounds of the article. However, if the strength of the article is less than 2-fold, the term fold is omitted from the name. The label of vanilla powder should bear the common names of any of the optional ingredients specified that are used, except that where the alternative name vanilla sugar is used for designating the food, it's not required that sugar be named as an optional ingredient. Also, wherever the name of the food appears on the label so consciously as to be easily seen, under customary conditions of purchase, the labeling should immediately and consciously precede or follow such name without intervening written, printed, or graphic matter. Each of the ingredients used in the food should be declared on the label as required by FDA regulations. Now we will talk about the following products: candy without chocolate, candy specialties, and chewing gum establishment inspection. The raw materials. Number 1, egg and milk products must be processed to destroy viable salmonella microorganisms. 2, steps taken to ensure that other raw materials susceptible to contamination are free of such organisms before use unless they are pasteurized or otherwise treated before or during processing. 3, materials capables must be held at appropriate temperature and relative humidity, except for the period of time actually required for processing, and not so long as to affect the wholesomeness of the product. Raw materials such as nuts and cornmeal that are susceptible to aflatoxin contamination must comply with FDA regulations, guidelines, and action levels.
Equipment and manufacturing process. Number 1, assess the control of objects hidden in the candy. 2, make sure that the production process will not cause pollution from any source. In case of molding and starch and trays, first, determine how long it has been used. 2, estimate the amount and frequency of fresh starch added. 3. Checking for any spillet or fragments. While in case of scrap candy, evaluate the treatment and reprocessing of waste sugar. 2. Determine if the containers used for rework can be distinguished from other containers. 3. Determination of scrap candy of rework resource. Food and color additives. First, determine the slab trim used and estimate the number of each lot. Second, if the used level of mineral oil is higher than 2000 ppm, then obtain the shipment volume of finished product samples. 3. FFDCA limits the alcohol content to 1/2 of 1% by volume, and this should come entirely from the used flavored extracts. In case of sample collection in process sampling, first, molding starch. When insect or rodent extreme is observed near the shaped starch, collect subsamples. First, starch of 1 pint from starch tycoon, starch of 1 pint from starch trays used, and starch of 1 pint from trays of starch cleaner. 2. Scrap candy rework. Collect exhibits or official samples of contaminated waste, then describe how it used. 3. Deleterious articles. When there is potential harm, collect product samples with sharp object or other dangerous object hidden the candy. While in case of finished product sampling, first, mislabeled chocolate product. Chocolate product mislabeled when a mislabeling is caused by monitoring chocolate. The document should include a reference sample of the substituted ingredient and its quantitative formula and its label. 2. Deceptive package. Submit package of flagrantly deceptive specimens consisting of 3 filled and 3 empty packages with all the spacer and fillers. Third, false. Collect 10 to 450 gram subsamples in duplicate. Fourth, microbiological. Collect 10 to 225 gram substance in duplicate, and if samples are not to be analyzed for Salmonella species, refers to the FDA requirements. In case of chocolate and cocoa products, an established inspection, first, raw material. If the cocoa beans are in bag, screen multiple batches in storage by conducting preliminary on-the-site inspection. Mix 100 cocoa beans from 10 to 20 bags. Open each bean, divide the inside of the bean into small pieces along with the natural folds of the nib material, and checking for mold or insect damage. If the on-site exam shows collecting official samples for the examination. Second, processing. Determine the company cocoa bean processing in detail, including the following: pre-cleaning, mixing, baking, cooling, cracking, and fan operation. Milling, storage of liquor. Third, sample collection. In process sampling, collect online samples and exhibits to record unsanitary conditions that may cause finished products to be contaminated with dirt, bacteria, molds, or other factors. Second, we have finished sampling product. A. First, beans of cocoa. Calculate the number of subcomponents to be collected by taking the square root of the number of bags in the batch. To calculate the number of bags to be sampled, multiply by 3. Each will contain about 450 grams of beans, which will consist of approximately 170 grams of beans in each of 3 bags. You can sample up to 75 bags for a total of 25 substances, but you should collect no less than 6 substances. For a part, 702 should collect substance in pairs. B. False. Cocoa powder, cake press, juicer. The square root of the number of cakes, chocolates, and sample bags to detect a microscopic filth, extra shells, and other contaminants. Collect at least 6 to 18 substances from each of 3 bags, each weighing 900 grams and 340 grams. For a bar, 702 should collect substance in pairs. While in case of alcohol, FFDCA limits the alcohol content in candies to 0.5% by volume, and this should be entirely from the used flavored extract. Excluding FFDCA, regulation don't apply to interstate candy trade if the sale of these sweets is permitted under the laws of the country in which these sweets are for sale. In case of lead, California authorities discovered that a Mexican confectionery product was contaminated with lead. Lead entered the confectionery from lead-based ink used in the packaging. Poor packaging design due to the lack of structural integrity of the inner coating, allowing the lead-based ink in the outer packaging layer to enter the candy. The FDA reported that some candies imported from Mexico have higher lead levels than those found in domestic confectionery items. The FDA found that the increase in lead content is mainly related to specific ingredient used in these imported confectionery products. The FDA notifies manufacturer and importer and distributor of imported candy that if young children are expected to consume candy products frequently, the agency will consider taking regulatory action on candy with a lead content of more than 0.5 parts per million. Legal content of alcohol in confectionery or candy. Some states don't permit alcoholic ingredient at all, but some others permitted the alcoholic ingredient with some legal requirements. Most states permit it with a percentage range from 0.5% to 5%, with an age not less than 21 years, accompanied by a label stating that the sale of the product to individuals under age 21 is prohibited, and that the product contains alcohol up to 5% per volume. We have some states and their legal content of alcohol. In case of Alabama, Delaware, Washington, no alcohol ingredients are permitted, while in case of Alaska, Arkansas, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, less than 0.5% or greater than 0.5% alcohol by volume. The source, a derivative of flavoring extract are used. Purchase age requirements, no age limited or not less than 21. While in case of Louisiana, Maryland, New York, New Jersey, Texas, 0.5% to 10% alcohol. If the alcohol content is greater than 0.5%, a label is needed that reads, sale of this product to people under the legal age to purchase, which is 21 age, alcoholic drinks, is forbidden. And sale of confectionery containing more than 0.5% alcohol to anyone under the legal age of purchasing alcoholic drinks is illegal. Source, a derivative of flavoring extract used. Purchase age requirements, no age limited or not less than 21. FCC regulates the lead in sucrose, the main component of many confectionery products. Recrystallization, process made by sugar. Many confectionery products contain sugar or chocolate as the main ingredient, usually find lead resulting in low parts per billion. The lead content in sugary candies. It analyzed during its monitoring activities with low part per million or undetectable. Recrystallization process doesn't involve chocolate manufacturing. The lead content of most finished milk chocolate products is less than 0.1 part per million. Shelly product with ingredients such as chili powder found in some Mexican-style candy products may contain more lead than sugar-based candies because minimally refined ingredients as chili wouldn't contain low lead levels as sugar that is highly refined ingredients. Several confectionery and related products, powdered snack mix, products containing chili were contaminated with lead, indicating that good manufacturing product was not used in the manufacture of chili ingredients, resulting in serious contamination of chili ingredients and finished candy product with lead. Findings regarding the increase in lead content in mixed confectionery and powdered snack products and our belief that this lead contamination can be avoided promoted the FDA to send a letter to the industry in which the FDA announced its intention to reduce the 0.5 part per million. Guidelines for concentration enforcement action are taken against lead-containing confectionery products that young children may frequently consume. At the same time as this document, the FDA also issued a guidance document entitled Lead in Candies that may be frequently eaten by young children, recommended maximum level and implementation policies. The guidance document announced a recommended 0.1 part per million maximum level of lead in candy that children may consume regularly. The guidance states that to take an enforcement action against confectionery whose lead content may pose a health risk. The guideline also cancels the 5 part per million guideline that considers enforcement action because the level is no longer considered consistent with the agency policy. of reducing lead content in the food supply to reduce consumer lead exposure to the lowest achievable level.
We will talk about the use of non-nutritive substance as ingredients. First, in 1938, the Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Art incorporated a section that considers confectionery to be adulterated if it contains any non-nutritive substance or alcohol, so they were safe and performed a technological function. Except harmless flavorings, authorized coloring not more than 0.4 to 1%, natural gum, and pectin. But in 1966, the Congress Alert Law, which provides the prohibition against non-nutritive substance, doesn't apply to be a safe non-nutritive ingredient, which is used for a particular functional purpose in the baking, storage, or manufactures, if it doesn't deceive or adulterate customers. The FDA only allows the use of non-nutritive compounds that have a technical impact in the production of candies. This substance will affect the candies but retain certain physical properties. Then it prohibits the use of non-nutritive sweeteners in candies to reduce calories and increase sweetness, because their use is not regarded to have a technical impact on candies. So the FDA examined this stance in 1992 and came to the conclusion that Congress didn't intend to prohibit the use of non-nutritive sweeteners in confectionery. So the goal of 1966 amendment was to bring the confectionery industry up to par with other sectors of the food industry and allow it to be utilized in candy production. Now we will talk about malt. Malt extract, malt syrup, malted cereal syrup, liquid malt, dried malt. First, malt extract is a substance made by extracting malt, which is the partially germinated grain of one or more cultivars of Harmon vulgar line. First, the malt is immersed in 60-degree water. Second, concentrate at a temperature of not more than 60 degrees, ideally under reduced pressure. Third, the extract can be combined with 10% glycerin by weight. Dextrin, maltose, and little amount of glucose and amylolytic enzymes are all present in malt extract. Malt extract may convert starch into water-soluble sugar at a rate not less than 5 times its weight. Manufacturing of malt syrups, concentrated malt extracts should include the following. First, for the solution and extraction of soluble and colloidal components from crushed barley malt, use adequate hardness water and cook at appropriate temperature for a long time to allow the malt various enzyme system to hydrolyze the desired grain component. Utilizing the solution, in some cases, sterilization and precipitation of unstable and unwanted materials is accomplished by boiling the first. Third, vacuum evaporators are used to concentrate the wax, with the procedure varying according on the ultimate product manufactured. Liquid malt syrup should be made composed of malt suspended liquid medium. Malt extract or malt syrup should only be utilized to describe concentrated malt water infusion with or without a safe preservative. Items manufactured from barley should be referred to malt extract and malt syrup. If another malted grain is utilized, the extract or syrup may be labeled. The labeled liquid malt is deemed erroneous And misleading with malt extract or malt syrup is blended with a corn syrup or another substance that are not regular ingredients of malt extract. Now we will talk about source declaration for honey. Plant or blossom are names can be labeled on honey. The primary floral source of the honey is plant or blossom. For example, orange blossom honey, clover honey. The honey producer could display plants depicted on the label if the honey's primary flowery source. One of the types of candies that is mixed with trinkets and sold in vending machines concerned about the mixing of confectionery and nuts with various sorts of trinkets, because the risk of children swallowing or bite down on causing injuries to them for such trinkets. So a safety precaution recommended that the trinkets should be separated physically by some types of wrapping away from the candies or gum. Then now we were gonna talk about raw sugar. Raw sugar refers to immediate food that leaves the sugar milling and is used as food after refining in the sugar mill. Generally, raw sugar is not suitable to be edible because it contains foreign degradation such as dirt and dirt that are removed during the refining process. So sometimes the agency will take action against raw sugar used for man consumption without more refinement and find that the raw sugar contains degradation that make it unsuitable for consumption. For reconditioning water damaged sugar, the following refining process was approved by FDA. First, at the high raw sugar remelt, introduce sugar into the refining process. Then determine is sugar using limit P205 or other treatments and concentrate it to 65 to 70% by mixing water or processed juice. Maintain a temperature of 95 degrees Celsius or higher. The processed syrup needs to add filtrate and pass it through clarifiers or pressure filters, then carbon ion exchange resin filter. Then pour filtered liquid into vacuum pan and bring to a boil until supersaturation is reached. And add seed crystals and let them grow to the most appropriate size. And centrifuge, then wash it in hot water and dry. Screen to desired commercial product size or place in bulk refined storage. Then the centrifugal and supernated washing are returned to the stream of processing. This procedure can be used to recondition sugar that has been damaged by non-potable fresh or salt water. In case of proving that the sugar was influenced by chemicals or sewage, the process is not suited for reconditioning sugar.
Barley sugar definition and barley sugar candy. First source of information indicates when sugar is heated to 160 Celsius, 320 Fahrenheit, it melts without losing weight. Condensed when cooled, forming an amorphous yellowish substance which may slowly change as opaque surface due to crystals development. The product is called barley sugar. Second source of information indicate heating sugar at 185 Celsius, 365 Fahrenheit, melting sugar into a viscous liquid, then it was quickly cooled, resulting in a translucent material known as barley sugar. The term barley sugar refers to products which are partially made from barley. Candied citron labeling. The consumer has recognized candied citron in the commerce. Citrus medica variety genuine English is solely used on candied citron fruit. The citrus fruit are like lemon but bigger and have a thick skin with a distinct flavor. The skin of the citrus melon, Citrellus vulgaris scrat, can be used in same way as candied citron. The term candied citron shouldn't be used to describe watermelon's candied skin. Candied citron melon or candied watermelon is a better name for it. Adulteration in chocolate and chocolate liquor with rodent and insect filth. Guidance for regulatory action. Number 1. Insect filth. Each 100 gram of chocolate sample contains an average of 60 or more insect bites, even though the overall average of all the subsamples is less than 60. Each subsample contains at least 90 bug fragments. Rodent filth. Each 100 grams of chocolate contains an average of more than one rodent hair, regardless size or fragmentation of the hairs. Even if overall average is less than one rodent hair, any subsample has more than 3 rodent hairs. Food and Drug Administration approved approach was used to analyze insect and rodent filth. Specimen charges. In a legal sense, samples are charged for adulterated items because of the presence of rodent hair and insect fragments. But direct citation authority can only be used when it is prosecuted and the accusation of adulteration proved with evidence in support of the prosecution. Now, there are regulatory procedures that provide the evidence needed to support the prosecution, as in adulteration of cocoa bean by mold, insect infestation, and mammalian excrement. Cocoa beans adulteration by mold, mammalian excreta, and insect infestation. Regulatory action guidance. The FDA has criteria for direct reference, scissor, and examination shows the following. There is an average of more than 4% moldy beans by count in cocoa beans. There is an average of more than 4% insect infested or insect damaged beans by count in cocoa beans. There is an average of more than 6% reject beans, moldy plus insect infested or insect damaged beans by count in cocoa beans. Recommended standards for legal action. Cocoa beans contain an average of 10 milligrams or more of mammalian excrement per pound. The FDA specified a method for analysis of mold, insect damage, and mammalian excreta. Cocoa powder and the press cake adulteration with insect and rodent filth. Regulatory action guidance. There are criteria for recommending legal action to the FDA headquarters. Number 1. Insect filth. In 6 or more subsamples, there is average of 75 or more insect fragments for each 50 in cocoa powder or press cake. If the overall average for all subsamples is less than 75, any one subsample should contain 125 or more insect fragments. Number 2. Rodent filth. For each 50 gram of 6 or more subsamples from cocoa powder or press cake must contain more than 2 rodent hairs. If the overall average is less than 2 hairs, any one subsample should contain more than 4 rodent hairs. Labeling of products purporting to be chocolate or chocolate flavored. There is a response to Chocolate Manufacturers Association that inquired about the proper labeling of food products that purport to be or represented as containing chocolate or having a chocolate flavor. The FDA declared an advisory opinion that is quoted under the following policy. Policy: the label of a non-standardized food that do not have artificial chocolate flavor or natural flavor derived from a source aside from cocoa beans, which can have a term chocolate, in contrast to chocolate flavor, provided the product meets 1. in every of the subsequent conditions. Number 1. The product considered as its only source of chocolate flavoring when it is ingredient complies with one amongst the FDA standards of identity for cocoa products. Additionally, under certain circumstances, the product may bear the term chocolate when it's followed by the precise name of the oil used. Number 2. The product is flavored with cocoa and therefore the food that consumers have long recognized because it contained cocoa as a characteristic chocolate flavoring ingredient, and therefore the one that consumers do not expect to contain a chocolate ingredient. This condition is predicated on a statement that FDA made within the preamble to the ultimate rule on the label declaration of spices, coloring, flavoring, and chemical preservatives. In light of condition 2, using the term chocolate needn't be limited to chocolate cake, chocolate pudding, chocolate cookies, and chocolate milk. We all know that the other non-standardized foodstuff that contains cocoa, because a chocolate flavoring ingredient may have the term chocolate, so long as it can be considered that customers have long recognized that the product may be made up of cocoa and do not expect to contain other chocolate ingredients. The term natural chocolate flavored or chocolate flavored should be used on the labeling of the non-standardized food in which the consumer could expect a chocolate ingredient but which contains cocoa as a source of chocolate flavoring.